Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I begin in the name of the God whose mercy is profound, whose kindness is forever. This presentation is for the 23rd Taraweeh, the 23rd night of Ramadanul Mubarak. We have 4 surahs to cover. All 4 surahs are Hawamim, beginning with Hamim. Az-Zukhruf 43rd, Ad-Dukhan 44th, Al-Jathiyah 45th, and Al-Ahqaf 46th. All 4 form 2 pairs. The first pair is Az-Zukhruf and Ad-Dukhan, and like in the case of all other surahs of this particular group, there is good news given to the believers, warning handed out to the disbelievers, and the basic theme is that of Tawheed, unity of God. The only difference is that in the case of the first surah, Az-Zukhruf, we find that the affirmation of Tawheed, unity of God, and the refutation of shirk, polytheism, ascribing partners of God is prominent. In the case of the next surah, Dukhan, we find that the tone is getting stronger. There's admonition to those who were alleging that this message was concocted and it was not from God. So they're admonished. Both surahs have the first 2 verses as identical, thereby giving a clear indication that they are forming a pair. So I start with first Surah Az-Zukhruf, the 43rd surah. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Hamim wal Quranil Mubin. That's how it starts, and that's how the next surah also starts. This is Surah Hamim, and the clear Quran is a testimony to the fact that it's from God. We read verse 9 of this surah, and it says, وَلَئِن سَأَلْتَهُمْ مَنْ خَلَقَ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضَ. And O Prophet, if you were to ask these polytheists, non-believers, who created the heavens and the earth, لَيَقُولُنَّ اللَّهُ. They would certainly say that it was God who created them. لَيَقُولُنَّ خَلَقَهُنَّ الْعَزِيزُ الْعَلِيمُ. They would say that the one who is mighty and knowledgeable, he created them. الَّذِي جَعَلَ لَكُمُ الْأَرْضَ مَهْدًا. God goes on to clarify that yes, indeed, he created it. He is the one who made this earth a place like a bed for you. وَجَعَلَ لَكُمْ فِيهَا سُبُلًا. And he created ways for you to travel in. لَعَلَّكُمْ تَهْتَدُونَ. So that you may be guided. وَالَّذِي نَزَّلَ مِنَ السَّمَاءِ مَاءً. And he is the one who sent down from the sky water, بِقَدَرٍ, measured. فَأَنْشَرْنَا بِهِ بَلْدَةً مَيْتًا. And he revived, as a consequence, the dead land. كَذَلِكَ تُخْرَجُونَ. Likewise, the same way you are going to be recreated, brought back to life after you will be dead. We move to verse 23 of the surah, which says, وَكَذَلِكَ مَا أَرْسَلْنَا مِنْ قَبْلِكَ فِي قَرْيَةٍ مِّن نَذِيرٍ. And likewise, O Prophet, we did not send before you to any nation a warner, إِلَّا قَالَ مُتْرَفُوهَا. But it so happened that those people who were affluent in the society, they said, إِنَّا وَجَدْنَا آبَاءَنَا عَلَى أُمَّةٍ. We found our forefathers following a certain way. وَإِنَّا عَلَى آثَارِهِمْ مُقْتَدُونَ. And we are going to just follow their footsteps. We're not going to follow this new message. قَالَ. And the prophets would say, أَوَلَوْ جِئْتُكُمْ بِأَهْدَى مِمَّا وَجَدْتُمْ عَلَيْهِ آبَاءَكُمْ. Is it that you're going to still follow your forefathers' footsteps, even if I was to present to you something which was more correct, more towards guidance? قالوا, they responded, inna bima ursiltum bihi kafirun. Never mind, we still would reject what you have been given, what you have been sent with. Fantaqamna minhum. So God says that we took revenge from all these people, all these nations. Fanzur. So see for yourself. Kaifa kana aqibatul mukazzibin. What was the result, the ultimate outcome of these deniers? See for yourself. That is, you can see the remnants of some of those nations, and you can learn from their history as well. We move on to verse 31, where the Almighty is telling us that these people, arrogant people of the Arabian society, they said, وَقَالُوا لَوْلَا نُزِّلَ هَذَا الْقُرْآنَ عَلَى رَجُلٍ مِّنَ الْقَرْيَتَيْنِ عَظِيمٍ. Why is it that this Quran has not been sent to some great individual, rich person of these two localities? That is, this Quran, if at all it was to be revealed, it had to be revealed onto somebody who was rich. Why is it that it has been sent to somebody who is not a part of the affluence of the society? The Almighty responds by saying, Ahum yaqsimuna rahmat rabbik. Is it that they are the ones who distribute the mercy of their Lord? Nahnu qasamna bainahum maishatahum. We are the ones who distribute their provisions. That is, if there are some who are rich and others who are poor, it's our distribution. Fil hayat dunya, in this worldly life. Warafana ba'dahum fawqa ba'd darajat. And we raise some above others in status, in worldly status, status of richness. Liyattakhidha ba'dahum ba'dan sukhriya. So that some of them, they make use of others' services, so that the machinery of this society, of the life, it moves on. Some people become employees, others become employers. That's what's needed in this society. وَرَحْمَةُ رَبِّكَ خَيْرٌ مِّمَّا يَجْمَعُونَ. And the mercy of your Lord is far better than whatever they are amassing, whatever they are collecting in the form of wealth. The Almighty goes on to say, وَلَوْلَا أَن يَكُونَ النَّاسُ أُمَّةً وَاحِدًا. Had it not been a fear that all people are going to become one community, they are going to have one point of view, the point of view of disbelief. لَجَعَلْنَا لِمَنْ يَكْفُرُ بِالرَّحْمَنِ لِبُيُوتِهِمْ سُقُفًا. Then most certainly we would have given those people who reject, disbelieve Rahman, the merciful God, we would have given their homes, their ceilings, the material that would be of silver, وَمَعَارِجَ عَلَيْهَا يَزْهَرُونَ, as well as the stairways upon which they mount, that would also have been of silver. وَلِبُيُوتِهِمْ أَبْوَابًا وَسُرُرًا عَلَيْهَا يَتَّكِئُونَ. And for their houses, doors and couches, all of them would have been of silver upon which they would have reclined. وَالزُّخْرُفَا. And not just silver, we would have gone as far as making them of even gold. وَإِن كُلُّ ذَلِكَ لَمَّا مَتَاعُ الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا. All this is nothing but possessions of the worldly life. وَالْآخِرَةُ عِنْدَ رَبِّكَ لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. And the life hereafter is what is important in the eyes of your God for those people who are God conscious, who are pious. In other words, people are giving importance to the worldly riches, and they think that whoever is richer is more important and therefore worthy of receiving God's message. The fact of the matter is that in the eyes of the Almighty, these riches carry no weight, none whatsoever. He goes on to mention in verse 36 an important message. He says, وَمَنْ يَعْشُ عَنْ ذِكْرِ الرَّحْمَنِ, whoever draws away from the remembrance of Rahman, the merciful God, نُقَيِّدْ لَهُ شَيْطَانًا, we appoint for him a Satan, فَهُوَ لَهُ قَرِينٌ, and he becomes his companion. وَإِنَّهُمْ لَيَسُدُّونَهُمْ, and they, that is the Satans, they prevent them from the right path. وَيَحْسَبُونَ أَنَّهُمْ مُهْتَدُونَ, and they fancy that they are following the right path. حَتَّى إِذَا جَاءَنَا, until such time when they will come to us. قَالَ يَا لَيْتَ بَيْنِي وَبَيْنَكَ بُعْدَ الْمَشْرِقَيْنِ, they would say, oh, I wish there was between me and you the distance between east and west. فَبِئْسَ الْقَرِينَ, so how wretched, how evil was the companion. This was Surah Az-Zukhruf. We move on to the next surah, which is Surah Ad-Dukhan, Surah number 44. As I said in the introduction, these two surahs, Az-Zukhruf and Ad-Dukhan, together are forming a pair. And in this surah too, the beginning is like that of the previous surah. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Hamim. This is Surah Hamim. Wal Kitabil Mubin. And this clear book is an evidence of the fact that it's from God, and whatever it's saying is correct, is true. Inna ja'alnahu Quranan Arabiyya. We have made it as an Arabic Quran. La'allakum taqidun, so that, O people of Mecca, people of Arabian Peninsula, you may understand it. وَإِنَّهُ فِي أُمِّ الْكِتَابِ, and it is in the, this is Surah Zukhruf. Surah Dukhan says, إِنَّا أَنزَلْنَاهُ فِي لَيْلَةٍ مُبَارَكَةٍ, verse 3. We revealed it in a night which was the night of blessings. Inna kunna munzirin, indeed we had decided to warn. Fiha yufraqu kullu amrin hakim, on that night every important matter was clearly decided. That is, it was clearly decided then, and it's still clearly decided now. Amram min indina, important matters from our side. Inna kunna mursilin, we had decided to send, that is, send our messenger. So, like all other important matters are decided on that night, it was decided to send down the Quran that night as well. And this is the night of Qadr, as has been mentioned in the 97th surah of the Quran, Inna anzalnahu fi laylatil qadr. So, we move on to verses 25 onwards in Surah Dukhan, where the Almighty tells us that at the end of the story of Musa and Pharaoh and his army, his followers, they were punished, they were drowned. And it happened because they followed Musa alayhi salam and his companions who were migrating from Egypt and going towards Palestine. So when they got drowned, the Almighty said, Kam taraku min jannatin wa uyun, how much they left behind of gardens and springs, wa zuru'im wa maqamin kareem, and crops and noble sights, wa na'matin kanu fiha fakihin, and comfort wherein they used to enjoy. Kazalik, that's how it happened. وَأَوْرَثْنَاهَا قَوْمًا آخَرِينَ, and we caused other people to inherit such blessings. فَمَا بَكَتْ عَلَيْهِمُ السَّمَاءُ وَالْأَرْضُ, Neither did the heaven cry on them, wal ard, nor the earth, wama kanu munzareen, nor were they given any further relief, reprieve. That is, when the Almighty decides to punish a nation who have gone wrong, then there's nobody who can come to their rescue. They're not spared. And that is exactly what happened in the case of Pharaoh and his followers. Surah Dukhan, verse 58 onwards says, فَإِنَّمَا يَسَّرْنَاهُ بِلِسَانِكَ. So, we have made it simple and easy to follow in your language, O Prophet, لَعَلَّهُمْ يَتَذَكَّرُونَ, so that they might be reminded. We have designed this book to be the way it is, simple and effective in Arabic language, so that people can understand it and should be able to follow it. فَارْتَقِبْ إِنَّهُمْ مُرْتَقِبُونَ. So, O Prophet, you wait, that is, you wait for the Almighty's decision to come about them, about your nation, like it happened in the case of the earlier nations. إِنَّهُمْ مُرْتَقِبُونَ. They too are waiting. That is, it seems as if they are also waiting for the Almighty's decision to come to them, but they are not interested. They are not concerned about it. We move on to the next pair, which is the 45th and the 46th surah of the Quran, surahs of the Quran, Al-Jathiyah and Al-Ahqaf. Both surahs put together form a pair, and in the case of the first surah, Al-Jathiyah, there is a stern response to the objections and attitude of the people of Quraysh who are not accepting the Almighty's message. And this is also what we find in Al-Ahqaf as well. And the beginning of both surahs is absolutely the same, which again is the Almighty's indication that these two surahs, He has designed them to be the surahs who will be that will be in pair, they are partnering. So, we go for the first surah first. Surah Ahqaf, Surah Al-Jasiyah, it begins with Hamim. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Hamim. This is Surah Hamim. Tanzilul Kitabi minallahil Azizil Hakim. The revelation of this book is from God, the God who is mighty, who is wise. Inna fis samawati wal ard. Indeed, in the creation of the heavens and the earth, la ayatil lil mu'minin, there are signs for those who want to believe, who are believers. All humans are potentially believers. There are some people who want to realize that potential. They are the ones who take the Almighty's messages and His signs seriously. So He says that in the heavens and the earth, there are signs for those people who would want to believe. Now, fi khalqikum, and in your own creation, wama yabuthu min dabba, and what He has spread across in the form of living beings, ayat, there are signs liqawmi yuqinun, for those people who would want to be convinced. That's how He does it. He doesn't force people to believe. He just spreads across His signs for people to see and to reach the right conclusions. وَاخْتِلَافِ اللَّيْلِ وَالنَّهَارِ, and likewise in the alternation of night and day. وَمَا أَنزَلَ اللَّهُ مِنَ السَّمَاءِ, and what He sent down, what God sent down, مِنَ السَّمَاءِ, from the sky, مِنْ رِزْقٍ, in the form of sustenance. Rain is called rizq, it's sustenance, because it's the cause of our sustenance, crops, fruits, vegetables to grow. So he sent down from the sky rizq, sustenance. فَأَحْيَا بِهِ الْأَرْضَ بَعْدَ مَوْتِهَا. Then he caused land to come back to life after it was dead. وَتَصْرِيفِ الرِّيَاحِ. And in the directing of the winds, ayat, there are signs لِقَوْمِ يَعْقِلُونَ, for those people who use their intellect. تِلْكَ آيَاتُ اللَّهِ. These are the signs of God. نَتْلُوهَا عَلَيْكَ بِالْحَقِّ. We are reciting them, reading them before you in truth. That is, we are doing it in a way that they are absolutely true from God. فَبِأَيِّ حَدِيثٍ بَعْدَ اللَّهِ وَآيَاتِهِ يُؤْمِنُونَ. So, what other message after the message of God and His verses are they going to believe in? Is there anything else that needs to be done for them to believe? This message is absolutely clear and effective for anyone who is truth seeking to understand and believe in. The next verse, verse 7 says, وَيْلٌ لِكُلِّ أَفَّاكٍ أَثِيمٍ. Curse and woe be to every sinful liar. Now what it means is that in the previous verses the Almighty said that there are many humans who don't believe, who don't want to believe. And obviously the question arises that is it because of the way they have been created? Is it that they have a different taste and therefore they don't believe? If that's the case, then obviously they are not at fault. The Quran says that's not the case. There are people who are sinful liars. They are going against the expectations of morality, and therefore they deprive themselves of the opportunity of acknowledging and accepting God's message, which appeals to the human nature, the pristine human nature which inclines the individual to be morally upright. Yasma'u ayatillahi. These people who are liars and who are inclined to sinning, when they hear God's verses, tutla alayhi, recited before them, thumma yusirru mustakbiran, then what they do is that they persist arrogantly in doing whatever they were doing, in ignoring it, in rejecting it. Ka'allam yasma'a, as if they never heard it. فَبَشِّرْهُ بِعَذَابٍ أَلِيمٍ. Then you give them the news, good news of painful punishment. Obviously it's sarcastically mentioned that give them this good news, because they were looking for good news of their success or of their even further achievements in this life. The Almighty says that give them this good news which they have earned as a consequence of ignoring the truth. Then we move on to verse 23 of the surah, which is talking about again the same subject, the subject of the reasons why people don't believe. What are the obstacles? The Quran says, أَفَرَأَيْتَ مَنِ اتَّخَذَ إِلَهَهُ هَوَاهُ. Have you seen the one who has taken his desires as his God? He is so madly after satisfying all his desires, base desires, that he is not concerned about God and what He says. So in other words, he has made his own desires, his own ego, his desires as his God. وَأَضَلَّهُ اللَّهُ عَلَىٰ عِلْمٍ. And God has led him astray on the basis of his knowledge. God knows who are the peoples who are rightly guided, who are following the right path of morality. They are truthful people, truth-seeking people. So God guides them, and He doesn't guide those who are after their base desires. So God misguided them on the basis of His knowledge. وَخَتَمَ عَلَى سَمْعِهِ وَقَلْبِهِ, and He put seal on their hearing ability and on their hearts and their ability to think and understand. وَجَعَلَ عَلَى بَصَرِهِ غِشَاوَةً, and He put a curtain, a veil over their vision. فَمَنْ يَهْدِيهِ مِنْ بَعْدِ اللَّهِ, so who can guide them after God has misguided them? أَفَلَا تَتَذَكَّرُونَ أَفَلَا تَذَكَّرُونَ, do you not understand? Are you not reminded? That is, don't you know that this is what the Almighty's policy is? Then we move on to verse 28 of this surah, which says, وَتَرَى كُلُّ أُمَّةٍ جَاثِيَةٍ. On the day of judgment, you will see every nation kneeling from fear. كُلُّ أُمَّةٍ تُدْعَى إِلَى كِتَابِهَا, every nation will be called to its record, to the register, the record of their performance in the worldly life. الْيَوْمَ تُجْزَوْنَ مَا كُنْتُمْ تَعْمَلُونَ, they will be told that today you are being recompensed for whatever you are doing in this worldly life. That is, what's happening to you is what you earned for yourself. Haza kitabuna, this is our register, this is our book of record. Yantiqu alaykum bil haqq, it is speaking to you on the basis of truth, on the basis of exact, precise information which is undeniable. Inna kunna nastansikhu ma kuntum ta'malun, we were transcribing, writing down whatever you were doing, you used to do. فَأَمَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا, so as a result, those people who believed, وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ, and did good deeds, فَيُدْخِلُهُمْ رَبُّهُمْ فِي رَحْمَتِهِ, so their Lord is going to cause them to enter His mercy, which is the paradise. ذَلِكَ هُوَ الْفَوْزُ الْمُبِينُ, and this is clear success. وَأَمَّا الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا, and as for those people who disbelieved, أَفَلَمْ تَكُنْ آيَاتِي, they will be asked, was it not that my verses tutla alaykum used to be recited before you, fastakbartum, then you became arrogant. You rejected them, you became arrogant. These two words, expressions are used interchangeably. So kafaru, you rejected them, or istakbaru, you were arrogant, are the same. One is the result and the other is the reason for that. وَكُنْتُمْ قَوْمًا مُجْرِمِينَ, and you were people who were criminals. So it was your criminal mentality, disposition, that caused you to become disbelievers. We now move on to the next surah, which is Surah Al-Ahqaf, the 46th surah, the last Meccan surah of this series, 13 surahs in the 5th group. It also begins with Hamim, and the next verse is also exactly the same as was the second verse of the previous surah, Al-Jathiyah. Tanzilul Kitabi min Allahil Azizil Hakim. The revelation of the book is from God, who is exalted in might and is wise. We look at the next verse, which says, Ma khalaqna as-samawati wal arda. We did not create the heavens and the earth, wa ma bainahuma, and whatever lies in between, illa bil haqq, except for a purpose, for a reason, wa ajalim musamma, and for a stipulated time. This life is for a purpose, and the purpose is trial. God Almighty is picking those people who would ultimately deserve to be destined to be made the inhabitants of the paradise. وَالَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا, as for those who disbelieved, rejected the truth, amma unziru, They are the ones who are Mawridun, drawing away from Amma Unziru, what they are being warned against. That's what their attitude is. Verse 9 is telling these people of Mecca, the people of Quraysh, Qul ma kuntu bedam minar rusul. Tell them that I am not any different from the earlier messengers. Wamat adri ma yufalu bi wala bikum. Nor do I know exactly what's going to happen to me or to you. That is, I'm not here to tell you about the future. I'm here in attabi'u. I'm just following ma yuha ilayya, what has been revealed to me. Wama ana, and I'm not illa nazirum mubin, except a warner, clearly warning. I am a clear warner and nothing else. Warning against evil consequences of following the wrong path. Verses 15 begins the subject of the description of two types of individuals that are living in this world, which the Almighty continues to mention and tell us as to why some people go on the right track and the others go on the wrong path. First, we have been introduced to a good person. The Almighty says in verse 15, وَوَصَّيْنَا الْإِنسَانَ بِوَالِدَيْهِ إِحْسَانًا. And we have asked, we have ordained, enjoined upon humans regarding their parents to be good to them. حَمَلَتْهُ أُمُّهُ كُرْهًا وَوَضَعَتْهُ كُرْهًا. His mother went through difficulties and while bearing him. وَوَضَعَتْهُ, and he was delivered, Korha, when she went through difficulties, she went through pains. وَحَمْلُهُ وَفِصَالُهُ ثَلَاثُونَ شَهْرًا. And his bearing and his suckling took 30 months. حَتَّى إِذَا بَلَغَ شُدَّهُ, until such time that he began to grow up and reached the age of youth, of strength. وَبَلَغَ أَرْبَعِينَ سَنَةً, and he reached the age of 40 years. قَالَ, he said, رَبِّ أَوْزِعْنِي أَنْ أَشْكُرَ نِعْمَتَكَ. Give me the inclination, the possibility that I be thankful for your blessings. الَّتِي, which أَنْعَمْتَ عَلَيَّ, you showered upon me, وَعَلَى وَالِدَيَّ, and upon my parents. وَأَنْ أَعْمَلَ صَالِحًا, and give me the possibility, the inclination to do good deeds. تَرْضَاهُ, which you like. وَأَصْلِحْ لِي فِي ذُرِّيَّتِي, and make my progeny, my children also pious, righteous. Inni tubtu ilayk, I am inclined towards you. Wa inni minal muslimin, and I am amongst those who are submitting to you. So in other words, the Almighty is telling us that we humans, we open our eyes in this life in the company of our parents, and they are the ones who take us forward, and we reach an age when we realize that even these parents were given to us by our Creator God, and He is the one who needs to be thanked and to be prayed to for asking for everything that we want to ask for. And a good person is then thankful to the Almighty, thankful to the parents, asking for the welfare of the parents as well as the progeny, and asking the Almighty to enable him to do things, to do acts which are going to please Him. This is one type of person. The Almighty says, أُولَٰئِكَ الَّذِينَ نَتَقَبَّلُ عَنْهُمْ أَحْسَنَ مَا عَمِلُوا. Such are the people we are going to accept the good deeds of what they do. وَنَتَجَاوَزُ عَنْ سَيِّئَاتِهِمْ, and we are going to ignore the sins that they committed. If basically they are on the right track, but as humans, if they have done things which were wrong, we're going to ignore them. Fi ashabil jannah, they are going to be amongst the inhabitants of the paradise. Wa'da sidqil lazi kanu yu'adun, that is the promise of truth which they had been given. The promise was given to them. On the other hand, wallazi qala liwalidayhi, the one who says to his parents, uffil lakuma, curse be on you, uff on you, ataidanini, are you promising me, are you scaring me, an ukhraja, that I am going to be raised again, waqad khalatil qurun min qabli, while so many nations who have already gone by before me, wahuma yastaghithan illah, and the two parents, they desperately ask God, why laka amin, and they say to him that, believe. What are you doing? Woe to you, believe. Inna wa'dallahi haqqun, God's promise is true. فَيَقُول, so he says, مَا هَذَا إِلَّا أَسَاطِيرُ الْأَوَّلِينَ, these are nothing but stories of the earlier people, just fairy tales. There is no truth about them. أُولَٰئِكَ الَّذِينَ, such are the people, حَقَّ عَلَيْهِمُ الْقَوْلُ, about whom the word has become effective. God's word of misguidance comes to effect. Fi umamin qad khalat, like all other people who went by amongst the earlier nations, min qablihim, before them, min al jinni wal ins, amongst jinn and men, innahum kanu khasirin, they are the ones who are going to be ultimately losing. After mentioning these two types of people, the Almighty goes on to tell us in verse 29 that like we humans, there are jinns as well, another category, another species, who too have been sent to this world for the purpose of trial. The only thing is that we can't see them, even though they can see us. And these jinns, some of them, they believe in the messages of our prophets as well. So the Quran tells us, وَإِذْ صَرَفْنَا إِلَيْكَ نَفَرًا مِنَ الْجِنِّ, and mention, O Prophet, when we directed to you a few of the jinn. يَسْتَمِعُونَ الْقُرْآنَ, they were listening to the Quran attentively. فَلَمَّا حَضَرُوهُ قَالُوا أَنصِتُوا, and when they attended it, they said, listen quietly, be attentive. فَلَمَّا قُضِيَ, when it was concluded, the presentation was completed. وَاللَّوْ, they returned, إِلَىٰ قَوْمِهِمْ, towards the nation, munzirin, warning them. They got so impressed by the Quran that they started warning other people on the basis of the message that they had heard. قَالُوا, they said, Ya qawmana, O our nation, inna sami'na kitaban unzila min ba'di Musa, we have heard a book that has been revealed after Musa, after the book was revealed to Moses. Musaddiqan lima bayna yadayhi, it's a confirmation of the prophecies that were already there in the earlier books. Yahdi ila al-haq, it guides towards the truth, the right path. Wa ila tariqim mustaqim, and towards the path which is absolutely straight. Ya qawmana, O our people, O our nation, ajibu da'i Allah, accept the message of the preacher, the inviter towards God. Wa aminu bihi, and believe in it. Yaghfir lakum min zunubikum, He, God, is going to forgive your sins. Wa yujirkum min azabin alim, and He is going to protect you from a painful punishment. Wa man la yujib da'i Allah, and the one who doesn't respond positively to the one who is inviting towards God, falaysa bimujizim min fil ardi, he will not be able to escape from God's control. Walaysa lahu min dunihi awliya, and he will have nobody other than God as a friend protector. Ulaika fi dhalalim mubin, and such are the people who are in misguidance, clear misguidance. The last verse of Surah Ahqaf says, when all this message that we have given to you, O Prophet, is true, fasbir, then be patient and steadfast. Kama sabara ulul azmi min ar-rusul, exactly the same way as those messengers remained steadfast who had determination, the earlier messengers of determination. Wala tastajil lahum, and do not be in a hurry about them. Ka'annahum yawma yarawna, the day they are going to see the judgment day, they will feel as if the judgment day that has been promised to them, they will feel as if lam yalbathu illa sa'atam min nahar, that they did not live in the world except one part of a day. Balagh, just put across the message. This message is meant to be just disseminated to all humans of the world. فَهَلْ يُهْلَكُ إِلَّا الْقَوْمُ الْفَاسِقُونَ, so do you think anybody else is going to be destroyed except those who are disobedient transgressors? May the Almighty enable us to understand His book properly, and may He enable us to follow it as best as we can.